welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It's a big book summer. I just filmed about 10 minutes and realized my camera wasn't going. So, how y'all doing? We are on summer break right now. This begins a long stretch of time when I don't know what day it is. Like, I feel like it's Saturday because my kid's last day was yesterday, but it's not, it's Friday. Yes. So, if you are, because this is going to go out on June 14th, if you are protesting, I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you are safe. Hope you don't have to deal with things. I wish I were joining you. I was hoping to go to a protest. I was even been invited to one and was planning to go to one, but it became really clear, painfully clear, that I'm dealing with some knee issues and my knee is not going to let me stand that long. So I'm not able to go. I actually just today, our little family outing was to the passport desk at the post office to get our passports. Not that we're going anywhere. We need to have passports. And I had to stand for like half an hour just while we did things. And even that was bad. So standing for a couple hours, this is not a thing that's going to happen. And unfortunately, there will be more protests because reality, but there you go. So if you protest, good for you. I am there with you in spirit. I am posting things on social media. That's my way of protesting. And I'll wear my protest shirt, which you don't see because I'm filming this on Friday and talking about Saturday. So anyway, second of all, I want to thank you all on Thursday. So yesterday now, but Thursday's video, all the wonderful comments I got. That was the first episode of my 50 state page trip, where I'm going through each state. Well, actually, it should be 52. I just realized that as I'm saying this, I misnamed it. It should be 52 because it is the 50 states plus DC and Puerto Rico, both of which should be states. It does not include Canada because Canada is a sovereign nation and it is not the United States. No matter how much someone thinks it should be, it should not be. It needs to be there in case I have to put my passport to use. Anyway, but no, the two extra states are not Canada and Greenland. They're DC and Puerto Rico. So the first episode was Oregon, which makes sense because I'm from Oregon. And I got a lot of great recommendations for books from different states. I even got some more recommendations for books from Oregon. I'm making note of all of those. I won't be recommending any book I haven't read, although as for places to go, it'll either be places I recommend or places I would go if I'm going to that state because, maybe I haven't been there. But I am making a list. I don't know when the next one's coming out. I don't know what the next state's going to be. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of putting things together as I go along. And I think as soon as I get 3 books that I feel good about for a state, then I will do an episode. But thank you all for the comments. I am behind in comments. This was as I said, my kid's last week of school. Yesterday was the last day. And it's just been a really crazy week. So I haven't had a lot of booktube viewing time or catching up on comments or anything like that. So I'm hoping to catch up with that now. Hopefully now that we're in the summer, we don't have anything big planned this summer. So hopefully I'll have more time to catch up on all that. But I did manage to finish 3 books this week. So the first one is A Murder is Announced by Agatha Christie, which is, depending on how you count, the 4th or 5th Miss Marple book. And I say that because a lot of people say the first Miss Marple book is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like Thursday Murder. No, that's a Thursday Murder Club. That's not Saturday Murders. I don't know, but it's a collection of short stories. The first novel, Miss Marple novel, which is personally where I start counting from, is Murder at the Vicarage. So this is number 4 if you start with Murder at the Vicarage. And if you got into your mind what you think an Agatha Christie novel is, especially a Miss Marple movie, and you like a Miss Marple novel, and you just have that in your mind, like, this is what this is. This is this book. This is like the quintessential Miss Marple book. And I mean that in the best way possible. We're in this little town and there's an invitation goes out saying, that sounds like kind of like one of those murder parties you have or those mystery parties. Remember those used to be a big thing of those of you of a certain age who remember that in the 80s and 90s, having the mystery parties. And so a handful of people go to this thing and then a murder actually does happen. And and the police are in and they're trying to figure it out. And when one of says, you know, this reminds me of this old pussy is the term they use. And I mean that in the 1950s British version. Don't get dirty on me. She's the best crime solving mind I know. And wouldn't you know, her niece is the wife of the vicar or something. So she just happens to be there. And Miss Marple comes to figure things out. Very strong mystery. Very quirky characters. I like that. Definitely some queer coding in this, which was surprising to me for a book of this point. I know that in her later books, she doesn't shy away from that, but like in Halloween Party, we have that, but is it Halloween Party? Yeah, Halloween Party, I think we have it. But yeah, there's queer coding in this one. So I guess if you wanted to read Agatha Christie for Pride, there you go. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It is for Agatha Christie, a longer book. It's 200, this copy is 297 pages. She usually is about 220 to 250. So this is a little bit longer, but it flies by. It's very entertaining. Definitely would recommend this. You do not need to. I always say with Miss Marple, you should start with Murder at the Vicarage, but then as far as I've gone, I don't feel like you have to necessarily read in order after that. I mean, the one I read before this, which is The Moving Finger, Miss Marple is barely even in it. So whatever, but she is actually in a fair amount of this. And so yeah, 4-star, really enjoyed it. There you go. Highly recommended. The second one I finished was my first big book of the summer that I have completed, and I did it on audio. And that is Patriot, a Memoir by Alexei Navalny. So if you don't know who Alexei Navalny was, he was a Russian man. He was a very outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin. I think he was a lawyer by trade, if I remember that correctly. Anyway, a few years ago, he got sent to a prison, found guilty of some stupid, it was basically a made up charge. He knew it. He expected it. He knew this was going to happen to him. And after a few years in the Russian Gulag, he mysteriously died. Or, as they say in the book, he was killed. He was murdered. This is Russia we're talking about. As a critic of Putin. Yeah, he was killed. Let's not beat around the bush there. So this is his memoir. It's actually two things. The first part of the book is his memoir. And this is the memoir that he wrote when he was in prison. So it's him looking back on his life. This is how I got to here. So once we get to, it's really weird listening to it because I didn't realize that I was listening to it because I'm halfway through the book and it really felt like things were finishing. There's a speech at the end and it felt like it was finishing. I was like, I still have 6 hours left. What's going on here? And then there's a little interlude where they say he went to prison and on this day he was killed. And they use that's what they say, he was killed. And then after that is his diary entries and, strangely, his Instagram posts. Now, I did not know that you had access to Instagram when you're in solitary confinement in a Russian gulag, but apparently you do. So I learned something. Anyway, so you got his memoir up to this point, and then you had his present day viewpoint of what's going on, which was really interesting. It's a very impactful book to read or listen to right now in the United States for obvious reasons. It's inspiring, which is good, but then you remember he died. He was killed. But he was. I mean, he gives a good pep talk. Yeah. Give him a horse and, let him ride in front of the troops and talk. I was really surprised at how funny this book was. He has a very sarcastic, dry sense of humor, which I loved. And as I said, this was audio, and it's narrated by Matthew Goode, who is an actor, if you don't know that. Now, I have heard other people say they didn't feel like he was a very good writer. And I have kind of 2 points on that. Personally, I didn't notice that. I think that's because I was listening to the audiobook, and this is a performance. Wow. This is probably in my top 3, if not my number 1 audiobook performance I've ever heard. It's amazing. So that it could be kind of kind of rough, smooth things out and made the writing a little easier. But also, I don't necessarily think Alexei Navalny is a bad writer. It could be it was a not great translation because this is a translated book. But I would highly recommend this book. I mean, I know some people didn't like it, but I'm just talking my views. I highly recommended it. Highly recommend it. Really just, and especially on audio. Especially on audio. And it is hard to believe that someone as full of life is no longer with us, whose life was snuffed out like his was. But he fought the good fight. And he even says he knows basically this is what's going to happen to him. So definitely highly recommended. Okay, the third book I finished was this one. And this is my final Historathon book for this quarter. I did have 2 other books I was going to try and squeeze in, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, so I decided to call it after this book for Historathon for this quarter, just so I can concentrate on Big Book Summer and read historical fiction 2025. And this is The Far Traveler, nose is itching, Voyages of a Viking Woman by Nancy Marie Brown. So I've had this book. I figured this out. So my sister-in-law gave me this book the last time we went to visit them. My daughter was just going into kindergarten. It was the summer before she went into kindergarten, the last time we went to visit them. I've seen them since, but when we went to see them. And she just finished her sophomore year. So I've had it for a while. So this is interesting. It focuses on a woman named Gudrid, who is in the Norse sagas. She's referred to, I believe, in the Norse sagas as the Far Traveler. She is a Viking woman. She started in Iceland. She went to Greenland. She went to Rome at one point. And it goes a lot into the archaeology of what we know about her. She was a real person. And in that, you sort of learn more about Viking life. Now, earlier this quarter, I read Embers of the Hands. Let me see if I get up here. Embers of the Hands. Hidden Histories of the Viking Age. And I liked that book. That book was longlisted for the Women's Prize. I liked that book, but I felt like it was really high level and I wanted something a little deeper. What I really liked about that book is when they were in Greenland, because that's what I knew the least about. And there's quite a lot of Greenland in here because she did live in Greenland. There's 2 ways. She might have just sailed there or she might have been shipwrecked. We don't know. So I liked that. This is an older book. This came out in 2007. And I don't know. Knowing how old it was, I did always feel like I felt like there's been newer research, kind of. And I can't give you an example. I just felt like there is. And that's not the fault of the book. I mean, that's just the way it is. One interesting thing about that is they do know that when she got to Greenland, she went to, she stayed in, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was a little settlement that Eric the Red had set up. We know she went there. I think like the day I finished this book, like before I finished it, but the same day, I was watching a video from a literary lawyer and she was talking about her DNA results and it was all very interesting. And I thought, I'm going to go look at mine. And hey, aren't I supposed to like download my 23andMe DNA? Which I was. I've done that since then. Since apparently they're still open. I thought they went out of business. Anyway, when I was there, I saw there's an option where you can go and see like your historical DNA and see if you match with anyone in particular. So I ran that. I don't match with any names, but I am a descendant from a man who came from that exact same settlement, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, a little tie there. I have a lot of Viking blood in me. Actually, I'm only 25% Norwegian, but all of my stuff, it's like Viking, 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 Bathory, Viking, Viking, Viking. Like, yeah, throw a little bloodlust in there. What I didn't like about this book is I felt like it needed more of a focus. I felt like she was just kind of all over the place at times. And maybe that's why I kind of felt like there's always like newer research out there, even though I don't know what that is because she was so scattered. So I felt like better editing, better construction would have really helped this book. The other thing that I didn't like about this book, which bugs me in things like this, is when you're writing nonfiction about a real person and you kind of step over that line, you're saying, well, this is what she thought. Really? How do you know that? How do you know that's what they thought? I don't know. You don't have her words anywhere. You just know you have some archaeological data and you have the Norse sagas. The Norse sagas don't tell you how she felt. And there were times where the author would kind of catch herself and say, we can imagine but lots of times she didn't. And I was like, every time she would do that, it would pull me out. I'd be like, how do you know that? How do you know that? So that was my issue with this book. I did like it. I mean, I think I gave it 3 stars, which is recommended, but with caveats. So that's mine. It is still in print. I checked on that. So yeah, if you're interested in more Viking stuff, especially if you like more archaeological stuff, this is a good one, and you might have better luck with it than I did. Even though I did like it, still 3 star. I just had some issues with it. So that's my week. I am still reading. I'm still working on Rednecks and The Grapes of Wrath and some other things. And I am going to really focus on those this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to finish either one this weekend, but I'm focused on it. And you can see that through my mid-month book bash vlog that'll come out on Thursday. And yeah, so that's for this week. I'm going to let y'all go and like, subscribe, join my Discord. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.